Hey, good morning, everyone, for our first unscripted and noted episode here, and we're the first guest, ITAI TALMI. So great to have you with us. And Kai is also here, joining us for a while, a good friend of us from Uncomfortable Conversations, and Jarvis, and of course me. And how are we doing this? We just jump right in. So we ask usually around people who are joining, so what's going on? And as you are, Itai, joining us as our first guest, so tell us a bit, like what is going on in your life currently? What would you like to talk about? What is raw, real, uncomfortable currently? And then we can just you just share a bit, and then we go right into it.
Oh, I will talk about any issue that you will choose to bring up. Just ask any question.
What is there something currently in your life which is like I mean, what is currently going on with your life or with your work, which is difficult or which is uncomfortable in a way or anything, and then we can just talk about that for a moment. We can also, of course, share our own. We can also ask Kai and Jarvis and make a short, like a 5 minutes brainstorming, and then we go into it.
Oh, no problem. Right now I'm living in Tel Aviv. I have a daughter here, otherwise I'm not here for 1 minute. It used to be a great city, but now we are, as you probably know, the situation in Israel is not the best, uh, to say it very gently. But I have to be here. So I'm working from here with mostly with all kinds of global entities, um, traveling a little bit. I will be traveling more for my work, but right now I'm focusing on advising to organizations, whether they are nations or countries or corporations or social organizations, and I have an agenda, very specific agenda now that I picked as my leading uh, form of doing, which is humanize organizations in the age of AI. My point is, I'm focusing on helping organizations lead with humanity front and AI as an amplifier rather than the opposite. Because we are in a very specific age where there is huge, almost crazy, not almost, enthusiasm with AI, which is okay. It's a huge, huge revolution, evolution, and it's a gift, almost like the invention of the wheel. It's that big, but humanity is first. AI is there to amplify our cognition, to augment our cognition, our abilities, everything about us, and make us better and improve humans, but humans. So everything around that should be kept as human. So, and especially because the dystopic part of it, which a group of very specific people are leading now in the world toward a dystopian future where corporations will rule the world in a kind of techno feudalic regime by very specific people, they're aiming at. And the economic status will remain as is and even worse towards very specific minorities. And more than 60% of all positions within any organization will go for AI. Next to it, the culture, the social waves we can see in the paradigm board grammar, the language, the attitude, the day-to-day life are so mingled with AI. People are delegating whatever they can to AI, and that needs to be balanced. Um, there are many reasons for people to delegate everything they can. You can call it laziness, you can call it lack of education, you can call it just people are tired, they worked hard, and they don't have bandwidth for any more tasks or, or anything, and they just, it's kind of an escapism thing. So AI in general is in its infancy and early adopter stage, so we still need to learn that, but there are enough data and enough research, proved research, by so many bodies, independent, reliable bodies, about the implications of AI, that that needs to be stopped, that needs to be redirected, that needs to be redirected towards humans and humanity as a whole, and living entities and the planet. And, and if I can jump for a second, something even bigger, I truly believe that all of what's happening today, this kind of radical reality we live in, is a big, big, maybe the biggest in history, wake up call for everybody to reconsider everything. And I mean everything, from the most fundamental question of what is humanity, what is society, what is a human, what is consciousness, what is actually being in such a world which is pushing towards hybrid life and all kinds of quasi weirdo tech entangled entities that are trying to put. No, um, it's kind of an era. It's a big question mark, really is. It's a kind of an era that we have a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom and a lot of
Mm.
wonderful technology to look at everything and see where we go, what got us up to here, and where are we going from here, and what kind of a world are we going to be in, and how can be good ancestors. Um, I'm actually co-writing a book about it now, um, and I really believe that we are standing in a crossroad, and time to really, really ponder the deepest you can about what is humanity, what is society is actually the later stage. Society is a different debate. But first of all, what is humanity? What are we? What is our position within all living entities and with the planet? And and um, and actually, what does it mean just being? And furthermore, how are we gonna make sure make sure that humanity is on top of everything, and humanity that includes um, making sure that this planet is, or everything we do is regenerative and not extractive. I'm, I know I'm not talking in a straight line, a kind of a
No, it's okay. I
ongoing
mean, you
flow of
also,
thought, but I will add to that um, for almost like a thousand years, like a thousand years since the big campaign for cities began in the 13th century, there was a big campaign by the by royalties for people to move into cities. I think it was in Germany. And the slogan, by the way, it was, I think, the year 1239, I think, 1239. And the slogan was Stadtluft macht frei. Uh, and later it came into a different kind of a version. But so the Stadtluft macht frei means the air of the city is liberating. To come to live in the city, be be uh, be culturalized, be civilized, and come live in the city. Don't be just peasants, ignorant peasants. So come to live in the city. You come study in school and stuff. And then what I'm saying is then the indoctrination started, more or less. Since then, not much has changed. Sorry. Uh, we are indoctrinated, we are domesticated, we are dogmatic. There's not much of uh, people are feeling odds up to fighting a lot of uh, kinds of manifestation of imagination, whatever you want to call it, art or just thinking about positive philosophy or even talking about nature and talking about free rights and equal rights. People consider it as something is wrong with your imagination. And it's not part of the whole domestication that we planned for you for the last 1,000 years by the
Itai,
royalties.
can we stop for a moment, because there's always so
Yeah,
much things we were sharing from your side. And thanks so much for sharing these thoughts. I just give it back to us. Like, thanks so much. And like Jarvis, Kai, what is resonating and what do you hear?
Shall I go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. I mean, firstly, thank you. Thank you. That was a really coherent explanation to what's going on. One of many things that are going on in the world right now. I wrote down a few things, and it's really just to question them. What is it to be human? What is consciousness? Is this part of the natural cycle of living a spiritual being having a human experience? So I question things like, on a tangible level, will this potentially free us up more time to be able to focus more on being human and having that experience or not? It's just a question. You don't have to answer it, but that's what comes to mind for me. And also, maybe we've had to go through this cycle of being, quote unquote, being controlled for the leaders, for the those people that consider themselves to be leaders, whether we've put them there or not, which in most cases we haven't, particularly when it comes to royal families back in the 1200s. Was this part of a spiritual experience that we as souls agree to participate in order for us to learn more about ourselves and to learn more about our planet and to learn more about the different aspects of source? So these are the questions that come up for me. I mean, on a fundamental level, on a human level, of course, this is not the world I want for my children. Of course, this is not the world that I wanted to be born into, one that is controlled to the point that we don't even get to experience an existence of life that isn't indoctrinated. I absolutely get that. But at the same time, you can't break free from being in prison unless you're in prison in the first place. So there were just some nice questions that come up for me that I think are philosophical, that are just to throw into the melting pot of our discovery channel today. That's where I'll go.
Yeah.
Kai?
Can you hear me okay? My connection is... Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Hi, Kai, there is a... Yeah, there's an echo on your side. It's a... Jarvis is also muted. If you...
I was just saying I can't hear the echo, and it's going to be recording at your end anyway, so don't worry. It shouldn't pick up on the last final edit.
Can I say something when I can?
Go for it.
Oh, I really like what you said, and I think that one of the first principles we need to adopt or readopt or finally acknowledge is how they say in Africa, Ubuntu. I am because we are. And I love that. It came from Africa. I don't know where in Africa, where Ubuntu was born, but it's an amazing concept, which is such a fundamental thing. It was proven scientifically, biologically, that we are social animals. So I am because we are, for me, is one of the guiding light, one of the guiding principles of my life. And it's in my book. As I said, I'm writing a book about the fundamental of consciousness, what is untamed version or naked consciousness before the indoctrination. That's what my book is about. And it spans over all cultures around the world, from Japan to Africa to South America to the East to the West. Personally, I'm coming from Soto Zen. So in Soto Zen, it's very clear that there was a stage of nothing. I can talk about it later, but what I want to say about what you said about Africa is I'm in the first stages of initiating, founding an institution that will curate and utilize indigenous wisdom in favor of humanity, in favor of, of audiences that are not close to it, like bring it to the West, kind of, like do the opposite of what the West did to the indigenous cultures. I'm trying to do the opposite. It's about time to rectify, to correct that evil. Um, since the West took over all indigenous culture, and you know, so I'm trying to do the best. So I'm doing it with people from South America. Now we're starting at Guatemala and collecting wisdom and in many contexts. Then we're going to go to Africa. I have specific people I'm going to talk to. Then we go to the East. So it's a institution that will utilize indigenous wisdom. So it will be also, of course, will be. So Ubuntu is a very clear concept for us.
I was struck by a couple of things which all of you said, and want to pick them up quickly. So first, the question how to be human is a question which I don't necessarily hear outside of our bubbles. I don't hear my neighbor talking about was it mean to be human, or my mother or my brother or friends. I think it's particularly a question which comes up in our informed bubbles of leadership, innovation, consciousness. But what I hear and feel is that there are different layers hovering around, above us, in between us. There is I think, a general layer of deep overwhelm, deep uncertainty, not knowing what is to come. And there is a layer of lots of people are on the edge, but none of them likes to be an edge walker. There's these layers that
Can I give you my definition of
AI,
human?
yeah. I mean, even with AI, I mean, let's say in our circles, quote our circles, there is lots of talk about everything. But when I always go back to my German city and I talk with people, they even barely talk about sustainability. So I think there is really we are so much ahead of everything, and of course it's come rolling backwards to everyone. But people are just compared to this talk, people are just talking about, like, I don't know, something figure of speaking like 20, 30 years ago. So I don't know how to resolve these things, that this is two different things. People are very aware of things, and people are not at all aware of it, and they also don't care about this.
I can give you my definition of what is human, and it's based on a very specific gift exclusive to humans, which is imagination. We are the entity that can imagine. No other entity can do that. Our imagination is the basis of us, that defines us as humans. It enables meaning. Everything we imagine, meaning happens by imagination. We have 8 types of imagination. I don't know if you know that. I lecture about it. And that is the only thing that AI will never, ever. AI can be creative. It can play with data in a very interesting way, but it cannot imagine. It doesn't know that there is tomorrow. Also animals. So we are the only entity on Earth that can imagine. That makes us human, because from imagination, our consciousness and our reasoning happens. So, imagination enables everything. It's the first thing after just being a piece of meat. It's imagination. So this is what humans are. They are the one that can imagine, the she that can imagine, the entity that can imagine.
Great. Love that. I mean, I'll give you my version of what I feel is being human. I mean, I don't know about the imagination part. I certainly know I have imagination, but I don't know if I could agree with you that we are the only species that has imagination. That certainly doesn't feel right to me. But being human to me is embracing the life that we are experiencing in this moment that we are born into, and transcending any limitations so that I can experience myself as a fully enlightened, connected, spiritual being. That's what being human is to me. So it's breaking through the conditionings, the programming, the old paradigms, the indoctrinations, and all of that, so that I can be free as what I intended to be. But I have to go through being human in order to get back to that connection. That's what being human is.
What is spirituality?
What is the what?
Spirituality. What do you call spirituality? What is that?
It's the part of me that is connected to everything that there is. So it's not religious. It's not dogma. It's the part of me that has access to the infinite experience of what you might describe as consciousness. So it's tapping into a field that allows me to feel connected to everything that there is in all time and space and beyond.
You know, in philosophy, where I come from, or ontology, or in Soto Zen, or in indigenous cultures, in Native American, any kind of indigenous culture, and Soto Zen and Western philosophy, you don't feel connected by definition a priori. You are part of everything. So you don't feel connected to be spiritual. You are connected already. You are part of everything already as a human being. So this is just your basic being is connected. So you are spiritual by being. You know what I mean? Like So I love that. I think this is like naked spirituality in a way. So I love that. I think this is pure and naked form of spirituality, and we don't need more than that.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, I think that, you know, unfortunately, it is not my experience that many people are living like that, because most people, not all, but most people are caught up by the addiction to the outside world, the addiction to everything that they are in relationship with. And in some cases extreme, that is fear-based. And in other cases, it can be love-based, but it's still an addiction to the outside experience. So the, the thing that's important for us to remember, and you talk about the wisdom of indigenous cultures, we are all indigenous to planet Earth. Every single being on this planet is indigenous. The problem is that we've forgotten our connection to the indigenous wisdom. And that's because of the indoctrination of this paradigm, which has been predominantly focused on control and dogma and dot, 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 dot. I mean, the list goes on. However, if you breathe deeply and you can breathe beyond that trapping, then you can breathe into the infinite, and therefore it brings us back to our indigenous selves.
So we are back into the most acute problem of humanity. The people like you that think in a whole, and the people that think in duality, the people that think in dichotomy,
Yeah.
the people that separate, the people that think in hierarchy and comparativeness. We think in a whole, or like Arthur Kessler called it, like in a holon. Remember Arthur Kessler spoke about holon in a
Yeah.
whole holarchy. So we are in a hole, in another hole, another hole. But most people, and this is the best way to control people, is by thinking in comparison or by hierarchy, which is dichotomy, which is duality. You speak like in a non-dual dialogue, which is the right dialogue. So duality is actually the problem in the world. So it's actually me versus we. It's me against you, or it's we. You know, the shortest, most beautiful song ever written was in 1975 by Muhammad Ali in Harvard University. He was asked by one of the students to create a song on the spot. What he did, he wrote on the board, me, we. That was the song. I think it's the best song ever written.
I love it. And I love the fact that it's got a U in it, because that's the title of our show, and unscripted and untitled. Maybe this is the journey from me to we. Maybe that's what this time is about. Maybe that's what being human is it's this journey from me to we.
From
Yeah,
duality to non-duality. From Ubuntu, I am because we are.
I love to agree in most parts of this. I mean, June has, or just at the end of the so-called Pride Month. I mean, to be honest, I'm transgender, intersex, non-binary. I never been to Pride. I mean, that's a whole different discussion. But I think as long as you can live and thrive in humanity and you are allowed to do that, everything is fine. I mean, like becoming human. But as soon as you are part of a group where your being alone is difficult for others to accept or to become that human, then it kind of becomes really difficult. So the question for me is also like, how does it work in practical reality? I mean, as human beings, different structures of knowledge, different structures of beings, identities.
First of all, society, uh, I think we need to be rebels by whatever way we can. I myself consider myself as a Trojan horse, as a positive Trojan horse, and that's how I work. Today I'm actually saying it up loud in their faces, but I'm acting as a Trojan horse. This is why I went into brand and corporate work, so I can instill some kind of humanity and dignity and ethics into the corporate world. But everything I do is as a Trojan horse. I mean, because being a Don Quixote today, the current society, current regimes, doesn't matter where you are, it's maybe nice. Maybe you will be right. Maybe you'll be a hero. Maybe you'll be the poster. But you will not change. In order to change now, you need to you need to be a rebel, because saying the truth and being yourself is an act of rebellion. And because you believe in that, you need to be a rebel. So you need to find ways in order, how can I infiltrate any kind of mindset? What do I do for that? I'm sorry, that's the only way. And because I think you both are in the design world, as far as I know, as far as I know, Tess, probably you are in the design world. So, and because we are all designers by nature, we design our reality, CEOs design companies, designers design product, whatever. We all design. Design is just, you know, imagination in practice, creating our world. Sometimes we get paid for it. So if we think of design, which is a sacred job these days, today it should be really, should be a holy job with a huge responsibility. You have to carry this baggage of what it is to be a non-dual human, conscious, planetary, whatever you want to call it, and find ways, to inject it and embed it in whatever you do. You know, this it's an act of rebellion to be human. So, there's not one move. It's not about one move to change the world or one. But I want to say something, Tess, about you, about the change you. It's not change, the evolution you're going through. You went with yourself, with your identity, since we know each other from 2012, 13, 12. I really respect that, and I think a free society is a society which releases or let your imagination flow in a way that I can imagine your kind of identity. You know what I mean? Like, nothing will forbid me to imagine your kind of identity, whatever identity you choose. Right now, society is forbidding us to imagine for all kinds of generic, all kinds of identities, because they are not allowed because of the fucking Bible or whatever. So once our imagination is free, be able to imagine any kind of identity, any kind of evolution that happens in our life, follow it and respect it.
Kai, you haven't spoken for a minute. Oh, we seem to have lost Kai for a minute, so I'll jump in until Kai comes back. Yeah, your question, Tess, is obviously I can't personally say I've had an experience in the way that you have, but I have certainly had an experience of being the rebel, as ITAI has mentioned. In fact, my whole business career, I've been a rebel because I've literally gone against the grain of any business philosophy. And so I think those of us that are choosing to even participate in conversations like this are showing up. And it's certainly been my experience that the more you show up as yourself, as truth, and this is not for you, this is for everybody listening, because I know you show up. But the more we show up as our truth, the more we get accepted. People can handle truth, right? Because if you're truthful, then, and if that person that I'm in relationship with is simply a reflection of me, then I'm simply being truthful to myself, right? And therefore, the person that is in relationship with me is experiencing themselves as being truthful. This is the true nature of human beingness, as far as I can tell. So what seems to happen is when people are being rebellious and they're not comfortable with themselves in whatever way, shape, form they're taking, and they're not being honest about it, that's when they come up against discomfort. That's my experience. But I'm 55. I've had, since I was 5, I've been a rebel. So it's taken me 50 years to get to this place. But in the grand scheme of time, it's a minuscule of a micro blip in all of existence.
I think it comes also down to what you, ITAI, said a while ago. You, in the beginning, when you shared your thoughts, you talked about the radical reality, the living, like the wake-up call, which AI is going to give us. And then the radical wake-up call is really to be truly who you are, to stand to your truth. Standing at your truth, definitely. And being more stranger, more weirder in a way, which is very much human being. And that is very liberating, I think. I just imagine if everyone is going to live like that, how a world will look like. Is it even possible that everyone will become that liberated, radical, living, rebel being? I mean, how does that work? I mean, how does it look like?
Them all. You don't need them all to be like that. But they can enable, they can allow. It's about access. It's about, enableness. It's about freedom. It's about respect. They don't have to be. They can
Yeah,
be
exactly.
whatever they
But
want. My grandfather, he told me one thing in life when I was 3 years old. I'm 60. And he told me one thing: do whatever the fuck you want, just don't hurt anyone. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all. Really.
I think that what comes up for me as well, particularly with you on the call, Itai, and you being our guest on this in this show, and thank you for showing up. I really love your vibe and your energy and your wisdom. It's fantastic. The question that comes for me, and I think we should ask you this question because you're our guest, is okay. So from the wisdom that you have experienced, it sounds like very very early in life through your grandfather, teaching you such clarity in beingness from an early age, and then you've gone on this journey. You've gone on this journey to be a truth seeker, and now a truth speaker, and you're writing a book. The question that I think people would love to know is, what from your experience or from your even opinion or from the wisdom that you've gathered, what can people explore within themselves that will be the very thing that will help them to be more human or to connect with more humanness or to become naked conscious? What would you advise?
I will go back to essence, to the active essence of our humanity, which is imagination. Since there are 8 types of imagination, I would suggest that you research into what kind of a constellation of the 8 types of imagination you have. Maybe 1 or maybe 8, maybe 3 of them, maybe 2 of them. But what listen to the way you imagine. Look what you imagine. Look what comes up in your mind. Look what kind of movies and experiences you imagine. Look what you imagine about other people, about nature, about dogs, about food, about love, about pick all kinds of issues from your life and just imagine, just dwell in them. I think getting rid of duality, of thinking in duality, that's the main basic thing. If you once you stop comparing and thinking hierarchy, wow, you're reborn. That's a whole world will open, whole new world. And it took me almost 6 years. I mean, I'm practicing Soto Zen many years. I've tasted it, but I think I got rid of it really late, recently. I mean, like really, like I'm a student. But it doesn't have to. Uh, it's very subjective. So we all have subjective. Well, it's sort of one thing that cracks it all. But I think duality and getting rid like an onion, getting rid of all indoctrinations you had, preconceptions you had. Like really make a list of all indoctrinations and preconceptions and domestication mindset that you're fucked up with and get rid of them. So you see, it's kind of work. But you know what? Wonderful about AI? AI can help. Start talking to ChatGPT or Claude. I prefer Claude for conversations. I prefer Claude. Start talking with Claude about this. Really, use Claude. Use AI. Use Gemini. Use I'm working with Claude and GPT. I get a reference or some kind of thing comes up in my head, and I check it with, hey Claude, can you sum up with me this thought? Can you find reference? Can you teach me about what I'm thinking now? What do you think about it? What I'm starting a conversation about it. I'm asking him grand questions, see what he answers. I'm going into all kinds of rabbit holes. This is a wonderful tool for Alice in Wonderland kind of journeys. Go into rabbit holes with ChatGPT. Really, I really recommend it because it's all documented. It's all stays in one space. It's like taking a trip. It's like you're taking mushrooms, but online. I really recommend it. It can really help you shorten up the voyage into getting rid of all kinds of indoctrination and dualities and really make make sense of it all. Really, it's a wonderful Alice in Wonderland.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's really useful, inspiring content to be shared with our listeners. Thank you for that. Kai, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm sorry we lost you, but please do continue to share what you were sharing. We are I mean we're in 50 minutes into the show. We probably need to wrap up after you've spoken, but please do share what you were going to share, Kai.
Thank you. My connection thought it was about to say was a little too dangerous. But what I'd started to say is that I believe to be human is to be all of the things thought and experienced by being human. And what I think is, even with duality, I think where we've gotten stuck is that we see the extreme ends and we forget about the travel from one end to the other end, that there's a whole world of experience in here. But consciousness had to cast itself, a shadow, a version of itself, away from itself. to create that separation, to be able to look at itself and come into the experience of what it already knows, what it already is, to meet itself that way. So to if I'm standing across from someone else, we are two extremes of a spectrum that exists between the two of us. But between the two of us are many shared experiences, many shared stories, many shared realities. And I think what happens is that we get stuck in the version of consciousness that had to cast itself away. And I think this is what Einstein was talking about with the theory of relativity, is that there has to be a here, there, and an in between for humanity to exist, for this planet, this reality to exist. But we get stuck in the this and that, and we forget the entire in between. That is so many unfolding worlds that build up who we are. And I believe that that is what Ubuntu speaks to, that I am, therefore we are, and therefore I am. That separation is way more dissolved. And I think being aware of the duality but not getting stuck in it, because it is that ability, that separation that consciousness had to at some point and continues to create. Being aware of it but not getting stuck in it, I think that is what you were speaking to, Jarvis, earlier, of our return to consciousness, our return to enlightenment, our return to wholeness. It's knowing but not getting stuck in it, appreciating it. Say hi. Say hi. No. Well, he said no. So
Beautiful.
that's what that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, and you said it so beautifully. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think if I may, Tess, before you end, I'll just share my little bit of what might be useful in terms of everything that's been said. You know, my feeling is that we've forgotten how powerful we are as creators, because we've been born into a system that has kept us tied to living a very limited experience. Not for everybody, but for the majority. And it is very, very clear to me now, having lived and walked this path consciously for, a good few years now, we can live in a reality that we might describe as heaven on earth. We can, because we have to just allow ourselves to hold that space. So the words that I would share with people is, the Gandhian phrase, be the change you want to see in the world, and live it, and invite others to come and live with you in that space. Because if we keep allowing ourselves to fall back into the old fear-driven matrix paradigm, prison, indoctrination, programming, conditioning frequencies, then we're not going to be free. And if you really want to help others be free, then the only way to do it is be an example of being that freedom. But don't forget how powerful we are, because we are co-creating in every single breath. So what do you want to create for yourselves? And therefore, how does that create a better world for people to come and join us? That's what I would share. Tai and Itai and Kai, thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant to have you. I would love to get you on the show again, because we've literally scratched the surface.
I was honored to be on the show. Thank you very much for inviting me. We really just scratched the surface indeed. But, now I wish you a good Alice in Wonderland kind of journey.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here with us, Itai. And of course, we know us way back, and lovely to have you here as a first guest on our show. And like Jarvis said, love to have you back at some time if you like to be with us back for more deeper or new conversations. Yeah, I think that's for it for almost at the hour. And we're gonna record next Monday again, and hope you join us again at some point. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much. And it was good to reconnect with you. Test. See you again. Long time.
Yeah, we'll do. Definitely.